it makes me feel a little less isolated to be in the company of people who have spent a lifetime contributing to the cause of justice and human rights, who have come together at this very critical moment in the history of the nation. Uh, I think it was Dr. Kanaya who said that there is no distinction between the ideological virus and the biological virus. He took the words out of my mouth, and this is exactly what I wanted to say. Without the ideological virus having infected our beautiful nation, or indeed the world, the biological virus would not have defeated us. They are joined together, these two viruses. But the precondition for the emergence of the biological virus was the collapse of the ideological framework that we have held so dear in our lives over the years. I would like to briefly explain what I mean by this. What exactly have we been told by scientists about the biological virus? We've been told that it's a zoonosis disease. A zoonosis disease is one where a virus which normally habitates in bats crosses the species barrier and enters the human being. Now, why does this happen? It happens because we, as a species, have raped this planet Earth. We have destroyed it. We have behaved with arrogance as if we are the only species that matter, and we have not allowed other species their own space. This is one of the primary causes of the emergence of this biological virus. And once again, agreeing with Dr. Kanhaiya Kumar, unless we see these two viruses as one virus, we are unlikely to deal with the current situation. And the same, of course, can be said about the virus of hatred. Particularly in our country, the virus of hatred preceded the emergence of the biological virus, did it not? Were we not facing this virus for several years together before the coronavirus attacked us? So that too, I see as a precondition for the emergence of what we see today. People who spoke before me have spoken about the fact that we have not dedicated enough resources to health and to education. Was that not also a virus that prevented us from dedicating ourselves to the right to health? And Shanta Sinha ji said, yes, हमारी आवाज अब उठानी चाहिए कि हम right to health एक fundamental right demand करेंगे. So I can think of so many new emerging rights which can be put on the table as the fundamental rights that we need in this era. One of them is, of course, the right to health. But there are others. We need the fundamental right to say what we want to say, to dissent. And it makes me happy to note that the constitutionality of Section 124A, sedition, has been once again challenged in the Supreme Court. I have been disturbed by the debate around sedition in the last few years, which focuses itself only on the issue of violence or no violence. But that is not the point. The point is, does sedition have any place in a Republican form of government? It does not. Can we be told that we should not have disaffection to a government? Have we not collapsed the difference between a government and a nation? Why am I being told that I'm not a patriot? Simply because I disagree with the policies of this government. These are the issues which I hope will get raised when the issue of sedition is put on the table. The final point I want to make is once again something that Shanta Sinha pointed to. I too join not only in paying Shraddhanjali, and I have a candle here, I hope you can see it, to the victims of Corona, those we lost to Corona, but to the human rights defenders whose voices are sought to be silenced today. I remember, Professor Devi, meeting you a few months ago at my residence in Mumbai. And at that time, we talked about moments in our life which are moments of decision, moments when we decide whether we will take this path or that path. Well, let me tell you that at that time when you met me, if I were very honest with you, yes, there was an element of fear in me. Yes, I was thinking, look at me. I have an FIR against me for no reason. Look at me. I have an FIR against me by the ED. What is this life all about? A life which has been dedicated to the service of the nation. But you'll be happy to know that since that day, and you contributed in no small measure, my decisions have been very firm. I have taken decisions all my life, and I took my decision, come what may, till my dying day. I will stand with the human rights community. I will live with them. I will die with them. And I would like to conclude by saying, yes, and that's part of the reason why I took the decision to defend those who are incarcerated in what has come to be known as the Bhima Koregaon case, fabricated evidence against them. So we are all here together, sailing in the same boat, but it's the boat in which we are determined to retrieve this country for ourselves and for the rest of humanity. Thank you very much for this opportunity once again. Thank you.